Hello, friends. In 1865, during America's Civil War, a mysterious ship full of gold vanished into the deep sea. Many years later, a terrifying disease has spread across Mali and Africa. When WHO doctor Elena gets into trouble while searching for the source of this illness, she's rescued by a daring treasure hunter named Mike, a man whose only goal in life is to find that lost ship. So, what's the connection between this sudden outbreak and the treasure-laden vessel? What's hidden inside that ship? Let's find out. The story begins in 1865. At that time, the Civil War in America was almost over. Right then, we see a captain holding a gold coin in his hand. He's loading several boxes filled with the same kind of gold coins into a ship. The boxes are marked with the letters CSA suddenly. They come under attack. But the captain quickly launches the ship into the water and shuts down all its engines so that, under the cover of darkness, no one can spot it. And that's exactly what happens. He escapes from the enemies. Now, the story moves to the present, where we see Dr. Elena sitting inside a WHO van in Nigeria. A deadly disease has begun spreading rapidly in this city. After testing a new patient, they learn he's suffering from the same illness, something the doctors still don't understand. The patient's mother tells them that a few days ago, he went to Mali with his father, and on their way back, he fell sick. Elena loads the patient into the van and tells her senior, including this one, that makes 6 cases. We should quickly submit this file to the WHO, but her senior replies that with so few cases, no one will help them. Elena now wants to go to Mali to find out what's causing people to catch such a terrifying disease. But at that moment, Mali is in the middle of a civil war, so her senior warns her that no one will allow her to travel there under such dangerous conditions. Meanwhile, a masked man is watching them closely. Apparently, he doesn't like these doctors being there at all. Elena then thinks she should also take a sample from the patient's father, since he too had gone to Mali. So she heads to the lighthouse where the boy's father worked. When she arrives, Elena sees that the man's condition is exactly the same as his son's, and he's already dead. Elena quietly collects his sample and steps outside. At that moment, a man is boating nearby in the sea, while the masked figure suddenly attacks her. But the man in the boat rushes over just in time and saves Elena. However, during the scuffle, the masked attacker grabs Elena's bag and runs off. A little later, when Elena regains consciousness, she finds herself aboard a ship called Noma. It's actually a treasure hunting vessel. Outside stands the same man who saved her life. That man walks out holding an expensive statue he'd just found at sea. In fact, they've been searching for that ship carrying the CSA-marked boxes, but so far they haven't found it. At that moment, Almora, the owner of the vessel, arrives. The man who rescued Elena is named Mike. Almora tells Mike, "We've got the treasure. It needs to be prepared for tonight's museum party exhibition. Clean it up quickly." He's referring to that statue as the treasure. So, then Mike goes off to talk with a Nigerian dealer. At that party, the priceless statue is now put on display for everyone. It's actually the tomb of an African king, something worth several billions of dollars. Mike quickly heads to that dealer, and there the dealer shows him a coin with the letters CSA engraved on it. Mike immediately grabs the coin and says, "Wow, this has been my dream for years. Until now, nobody ever knew where that ship disappeared. Where did you get this?" But the Nigerian man can only tell him that he collected it from someone in Mali. Anyway, meanwhile, the owner of Mascot Company, the one who financed this treasure hunt, is also present at the party. This man has quite a reputation in Mali, so Elena asks him to take her to Mali because she wants to learn more about the disease there. The company owner explains that going to Mali is very dangerous right now, but if she insists on going, he'll try to arrange a way. A little later, Mike arrives and shows Almora the coin marked CSA. He also explains that the coin was found with someone living in Mali, and Mike believes that the wreck of the ship is somewhere near Mali. Almora is overjoyed when he hears this, and he gives Mike, James, and Rudy permission to travel to Mali for 3 days. Once there, they plan to use every bit of effort to find the ship. Their idea is that if they get even the slightest clue, they'll launch a full-scale search operation. The next day when they reach the harbor, we see Elena and Dr. Jack already waiting. Elena tells Mike that Almora said she and Dr. Jack could go with him to Mali, so now the 5 of them set off for Mali. That night, over dinner, Mike talks to Elena about the mysterious treasure ship and tells her that ever since it disappeared, his one lifelong dream has been to find it. Anyway, the next morning, after arriving in Mali, Elena and Jack go their own way, while Mike and the others head to the house of the man who'd found the coin. There they learn that the man had died long ago. Hearing this leaves them deeply frustrated, as if the path to the ship has once again been blocked. Just then, Mike spots an old mosque. The three of them go there to meet someone, because places of worship often keep records of old events. Mike asks about the records, and someone there searches through old documents and tells him that, many years ago, a ship once arrived at the port, but not a single soul aboard was alive. The current was so strong that the ship drifted back out to sea. This information turns out to be very useful for Mike. Without wasting a moment, they set off toward the city of Gao, which is a bit farther away. On the way, they notice something strange on a section of their boat. After examining it for a while, they realize it might be some sort of special soil or rust. But Mike says that in water with such a strong current, finding soil like that isn't normal. There must be something behind it. Just then, a military boat begins heading toward them. The army officers keep asking the same question. Where are the doctors who came with you? By now, the king has learned that 2 foreign doctors have entered his country, trying to discover the real cause of the spreading disease. He's ordered that the doctors be detained immediately. Otherwise, it could cause huge trouble. Mike realizes there must be a connection between the king and the disease. Why else would they be so concerned about the doctors? Mike replies, "Sir, we don't speak English very well. Let us pull the boat alongside first, then we can talk calmly." So Mike tosses them a rope, which they tie to their own boat. Then Mike signals his friends to go full speed, and with one jerk, the officer's boat flips over. Mike quickly cuts the rope, and they escape. But the danger isn't over yet. A little farther ahead, 2 more boats are waiting for them, and as soon as they spot Mike's group, they open fire. Mike realizes there's no choice but to jump into the water. Otherwise, they won't survive. Before jumping, they cut a slit in their boat's fuel tank so it will cause a massive explosion. And when the other boat comes close, the 3 of them dive into the river. The officers shoot at their boat, and because of the fuel leak, a huge blast goes off, killing all the soldiers. The 3 quickly climb out of the river and reach a nearby house. Rudy asks Mike, "Now we don't even have a boat. Should we call off the whole mission to find the ship?" Mike replies, "We'll look for the ship later. First, we need to save those doctors' lives. If the army catches them, they'll be killed." Mike tells Rudy, "Cross the border fast and get back to Almora." Then he and James head out to find the 2 doctors. Meanwhile, the 2 doctors arrive at a village where not a single person is in sight. They search everywhere, but all around them is just eerie silence. Inside one house, Elena finds a pile of corpses. All of these people have died from that strange disease. At dawn, the 2 of them bury all the bodies together. Meanwhile, Rudy secretly makes it across the border. Back in the village, Elena spots a well and thinks there might be something inside it. She starts preparing to climb down. When she reaches the bottom and begins collecting a water sample, Jack tells her that some military officers have shown up above. Then gunfire rings out, and the soldiers spare only Jack while killing everyone else. Elena hides in terror inside the well. At that moment, a helicopter lands. From it steps King Kazim of Mali. Kazim asks Jack where the female doctor has gone. Hearing the helicopter, Mike and James realize the doctors must be nearby. But Kazim is furious. He shoots Jack dead and orders his men to find Elena as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Mike and James watch everything from their hiding spot. Kazim's soldiers start killing everyone around, and Mike's life is also put in danger. But Elena comes up from behind and kills one of Kazim's men. Devastated by the death of her senior, Dr. Jack, Elena is overwhelmed with grief. Mike tells her they have to get out of there right away, because the place is far from safe. The 3 of them escape Kazim's military zone and arrive at another location, but it turns out to be even more dangerous. Suddenly, several horsemen appear and capture them, taking them to their king Godgo. Godgo asks what they've come here to do. Elena explains that she's a doctor, and she's here to investigate the disease spreading through their region. Hearing about the illness, they take her to a room filled with countless people who have died of the same sickness. Elena examines them and confirms that yes, they all died from the same disease. She tells him she's here to find the cause. After thinking for a while, Godgo gives them permission to stay in his town. Elena tests the local water and discovers it's been poisoned, something that couldn't happen naturally. Someone must have deliberately contaminated it. They inform the king and say they have to figure out where the poison in the water came from. Godgo agrees and promises to give them any help they need, as long as they find the source as soon as possible. Meanwhile, James is playing soccer with some local kids. When the ball rolls a bit farther, he follows it and stumbles upon a strange place. There are several unusual drawings there, and amazingly, they mention the very ship they've been searching for. From this, he realizes the ship isn't in the sea at all, but buried under some dry desert. Elena and Mike arrive there and see it too. Mike explains that 200 years ago, there used to be a river in this area, but now it has dried up. So, the three of them start preparing to locate the river. While they're planning, they notice that one of the drawings shows a fort. That means there must have been a fort somewhere near the river. Mike guesses that the toxic water in the village may come from that same river. Maybe the river didn't dry up completely. Its water could still be flowing underground. So they begin their journey toward the river, following the path where it once ran 2 centuries ago. Soon they spot the fort. After climbing to the top, they find a solar plant, owned by Mascot Company. But they can't figure out why a solar plant would exist in such a deserted place. Mike notices a train a little farther away. Slowly, they make their way toward it and sneak inside. Meanwhile, Rudy has reached Almora. On Rudy's clothes, he sees the same reddish sample they had found earlier on their boat in Mali. When Rudy tests the sample, he shows the result to Almora, who is shocked. Back at the site, Elena, James, and Mike have reached the inside of the plant. Once there, they realize the facility is actually producing a radioactive chemical, one that forms very quickly because of the region's intense sunlight. Just then, Elena notices some containers being moved underground. The three of them follow the man carrying them, and when the basement door opens, what they see feels like the sky crashing down on their heads. Inside the basement are thousands of tons of radioactive and toxic chemicals that have been sitting there for years. Some containers are leaking and the liquid is seeping into the underground river, the very river whose water people all over Mali drink. That's why the disease has been spreading so fast through the water supply. Meanwhile, Almora and Rudy take the report to the US Embassy. When the embassy staff read it, they can hardly believe something like this could exist. Back at the plant, James and his friend try to escape, but Mascot Company's men catch them. Mr. Mascot asks Elena, "What are you doing here? How did you find out about this place?" Elena tells Mascot, "Because of what you're doing in this plant, people are dying." Mascot replies, "I'm not doing anything wrong. We're burning the toxic chemicals, destroying them." Elena explains, "Those chemicals you've stored in the basement are leaking into the river. And by drinking that water, thousands of people are getting sick." Hearing this, Mr. Mascot becomes scared, wondering if what she says might actually be true. Then his men tie up Mike and James and start taking them somewhere else. Mike uses his wits and, with the help of the gold coin, opens the back door of the truck, freeing them from it. Mr. Mascot quickly meets with Kazim and tells him everything Elena said. Kazim replies, "If she cares so much about the people, tell her to shut down the plant. As long as I get my payment every month, I don't care if people die." Meanwhile, Mike and James are now wandering aimlessly through the desert, still chained to the truck door. They walk for miles, losing almost all their strength. Then, in the middle of the road, they spot a wrecked plane that had crashed, but its wheels are still intact. Somehow, they drag the plane across the sand, climb onto it, and reach a nearby village. There they find a telephone and call Almora, telling him the whole story. Mike sells the gold coin and buys a jeep. With it, he and James head to Godgo and ask his men for help so they can fight Kazim together. But Godgo doesn't have the manpower or heavy weapons that Kazim commands, so he refuses to fight. However, he gives them his own car, which he'd bought from Kazim. Using that vehicle, James and Mike reach the plant, only to be stopped right at the gate. They threaten the guards with guns and force their way inside. Meanwhile, Mascot hears that some men have broken into his plant. He rushes upstairs while Mike and James step inside and are stunned. The entire plant has been emptied out. Then James says that Mascot must have started believing he really is the reason people are dying, and that word might have already reached America. So now they want to erase every trace of the plant. James rushes downstairs to search for the explosives, because to wipe out a facility that big, there has to be a massive blast. Just then, a helicopter lands, and Mascot forces Elena into it. As they're preparing to take off, Mike shows up. He almost grabs Mascot, but one of Mascot's men stops him from behind. Elena jumps out of the chopper just in time. Meanwhile, James finds the bomb hidden inside a container. He pulls it out and slips it into his bag. At that moment, Mascot, sitting inside the helicopter, programs the solar plant to tilt toward the sun. All the solar panels start working at high speed. But thanks to James's skill, no explosion happens. He had already disarmed the bomb. Seeing this makes Mascot furious. Elena and Mike manage to break free from Mascot's man, and the three of them jump into a car and speed off. They still have a long way to go. But right then, Kazim's helicopter starts chasing them, firing bullets. Mike shouts to James, "Throw out the explosives you found in the basement." James does exactly that. Wherever Kazim's bullets hit, huge blasts go off. So much smoke and dust rise that Kazim is forced to turn his chopper away. But those explosions trigger something they hadn't expected. The sand shifts and the ship buried underneath rises to the surface. The moment they see the ship, the three of them rush inside to hide. But Kazim spots them and opens fire on the vessel again. More of Kazim's men arrive, surrounding them from all sides. Because of the gunfire striking the ship, containers burst open, and gold coins spill everywhere. Mike can hardly believe the coins are still so well preserved. Then they discover an old cannon inside the ship, still in pretty good condition. They start getting it ready. When Kazim's helicopter drifts into their sights, they fire the cannon. A massive explosion tears through the chopper, killing Kazim. After that, Kazim's entire army surrenders. The three step outside, completely astonished at why such a huge force is giving up. Then they turn around and see Godgo's men surrounding them from every side. Meanwhile, back in America, an undercover agent learns everything that happened. He deliberately slips the same poison into Mascot's drink, the same toxin Mascot had been giving the people of Mali. Soon, Mascot meets the very fate he'd inflicted on others. And finally, we see Mike and Elena together. Mike leaves the treasure for Godgo and his people. After all, they were the ones who suffered most from the disease, and it's their land. So, the treasure rightfully belongs to them. With that, today's story comes to an end. Let us know in the comments how you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. That's all for today. Good night.